Hi guys, my name is Charlie. Today I'm going to be continuing with some drum programming tips, this time going over some tips for programming realistic sounding snare rolls. So before I hit play and show you this quick demo track that I've put together, just a couple of general tips. First thing, the tempo is extremely important. It doesn't really make any sense to think in your head like 16th notes should be around this velocity, because 16th notes at 250 BPM are of course much faster than 16ths at 120. So I'm just going to hit play on this demo track here quickly. Pay attention to these snare rolls that I've programmed. They're all completely gridded and at 127 velocities, so have a listen. So that, of course, sounds rather robotic and not at all like how a real drummer might play them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to play with the grid. So you can see we've got 30-second notes and we've also got 16th notes. So 30-second notes, of course, depending on the tempo, I find you can move further off the grid than 16ths. So let's try that. So just click and drag and hold shift to select other notes like that. And then option 0, we got the quantized grid set to 30-second notes because that's what these are. Randomize, let's put that at 50 and see what happens. So that's a little bit much in places, but I'm actually not going to turn it down. I'm just going to manually move some of these notes. So anytime there's a big gap like that, it's because it's nudged one note 50% the one way and the other note 50% the other way. So there we go. That sounds a bit better. Whereas here, there's a bit of a gap there. So you can keep that. It entirely depends on how loose you want the drums to be. But I try to go for, I guess, simulating an edited live performance. And if you were editing those drums, you would likely fix something like that. Okay, now we got the 16ths. Change this to 16th. And because they are 16ths, we don't want to randomize them by 50% of a 16th note because it just sounds too loose and like the drummer doesn't really know what he's doing. So we're going to change this to 25. If you're wondering why I'm trying like 50 and 25 at the moment, I can't really tell you. I'm just punching numbers in and seeing what happens. And generally, I also find it's better to go too far and then dial it back than to go not far enough and then try and manually loosen it up. Okay, so now we're going to mess around with the velocities. So most drummers are going to be right-handed. So on slower parts, it's fairly likely that they're going to be hitting harder with their right hand. So on these 16ths, I'm going to have the right-handed hits, so the ones that are on the beat, at a higher velocity than the left-handed hits. With the faster bits, it's going to be much less apparent which hand is hitting harder, but if you want to program that in, then of course you can. So let's have a play around with it. So we change this menu to velocity, and for now, yeah, let's set it to 115. I find this is a good starting point. So starting at 115 with a minimum of 110 and a max of 120, randomizing by 5. It just adds a little bit of variation to them. And if it's not enough, you can just drag them all up or drag them all down. So we'll put them about there. And we're going to make the right-handed hits harder. On this particular bit here, though, I'm going to have it lead into this next cymbal hit. So, starting nice and quiet. So that kind of thing, if you do that, it just adds so much realism to the drums if you do it in the right place. So here we got 8 16th notes. I'm going to try something funky with this. We're going to give it a bit of a groove and make it go ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. So we're going to drag down everything that is not those and just see what it sounds like. Okay, that's a good starting point. So now we're going to vary it up a little bit more. Yep, happy with that. So now we have the 30-second notes and we're just going to apply the same quantizing for now. And then we're going to drag them down a bit. So how far down you go, again, depends on the velocity curve of whatever sampler you're using. Currently, I'm using Superior Drummer, so I don't want to go too low. Otherwise, you can't really tell that they're snare hits, especially if they're in amongst harder hitting parts. Bring those down, so And now let's have a listen to what we've got. So, that took less than 5 minutes, and that is so much more convincing than the original, where everything was just at 127 and locked fully to the grid. So anyway, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you found it useful and informative. Please let us know what you think in the comments, and be sure to check out the Brickwall Sounds website, Facebook, and Instagram, and we will see you soon.